Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us here on the morning show on E. Now, the onset of coronavirus has forced companies to reevaluate the way they interact with their employees and each other. More and more people are working from home or on flexi hours. In fact, today on the Business Beat, Odette van der Haar gives us some insight into the new normal for businesses. Take a look.
Good morning, viewers, and with me today I have a former colleague and someone I absolutely admire, Zumi Njongwe from Nestle. Good morning, Zumi.
Nice to see you, Odette.
Likewise. So Zumi, Nestle implemented a flexing policy a while ago that incentivized employees to work from home. With the COVID lockdown, tell me, how did the lockdown change the ways of working internally and with external stakeholders?
So, Odette, the most interesting thing is we've had a flexible policy for a very long time, close to 10 years actually. But I think that behaviorally, people were still kind of grappling with it, a little bit uncomfortable about using it fully. Clearly, times have changed. We've really embraced the idea of working from home. And in truth, this is probably going to be the future, even post-COVID. Mm-hmm. We're all very excited by the fact that we are able to all individually make our own decisions about what suits our own personal lives. And yes, it hasn't been easy. There have been some challenges, but we're all working through it. For example, balancing work and home life has been a little bit difficult. I'm sure you can relate.
Yes, absolutely.
But we always encourage all our employees to always be able to make the right situation that suits themselves. So the flexible policy and the COVID has just accelerated what we already had in the plan.
So tell me, do you think the new Zoom meetings is going to be the new normal? And do you find that it's more effective and productive? Because I find myself having loads and loads of meetings and being far more productive that way than, driving to meetings and driving back. Has it affected any interpersonal relationships, or is that unaffected because video calling is where you can actually see the person that you're talking to?
Yeah. Look, I'll talk about my own personal experience, Odette. The beginning was tough. The boundaries were very blurred. So while I was saving a lot of inefficient time, traveling, and that kind of thing, I was working really hard. And, and because, of course, you're at home, the hours just fly by. But you've got to set the parameters for yourself that work for you and your family. And I think as time progressed, you kind of understood, and we all understood what each other's barriers were, what our limitations were, and you negotiate that. You negotiate it with your boss, you negotiate it with your colleagues. And so we're in a place now where we're already starting to understand each individual person's requirements. When can they work? When can they not? When do they want to flex out? When do they want to flex in? So, you've got to have those conversations with people. And of course, all of us are battling the same issues with the fridge, among other things. But I think as we all get into this transitioning period, we're all kind of defining for ourselves what it is that we want. And we're all really invested in the outcome of great performance. That hasn't changed. I think we're all working through what is the level of resilience and high performance management that has now shifted for all of us.
I think that just demonstrates how Nestle is a forward-thinking and innovative company. I mean, your flexing policy, you tell me, has been around for 10 years. This way of working and prioritizing employee wellness. I remember visiting the Nestle campus in Bryanston and being envious because there's a gym on campus for staff with personal trainers and the canteen and so on and so on. But tell me, is working from home going to still require all of these things from an employee wellness perspective? Is this still a priority for a company, to ensure that the employees are well taken care of in the workplace? But now we're working from home, so how is this priority being integrated into this new norm?
Yeah, we do have nice offices, Odette. That's true. I agree with you. Wellness will always be a priority for us because we're really clear that the few things we have that we can always rely on, no matter what we get faced with, is our people and our great brands. Right. And we are having lots of conversations now about how we pivot into a new era and what that means for us. But wellness is absolutely critical. I mean, at this stage, we're talking to our employees around how do you build resilience? Because, we all think it's all hunky-dory working from home. It's not always easy with children and the demands that brings in. So we're talking about how we build resilience. How do we help them to become high-performing teams, not individuals, but you can be a really great performing individual. But actually, we need to be a high-performing team as well. So we're putting interventions in place for that.
So what has the lockdown actually taught you about work-life balance? I mean, this is something we all aspire to have, this work-life balance. I don't know if it exists. I'm still trying to find it. And managing stakeholder relationships, especially in the business of marketing and advertising that is so dynamic and so on the pulse, but you feel so disconnected because you're not able to have those face-to-face meetings. You're sitting and talking to a computer. Are you finding that work's coming out quicker, or do you find that there's a bit of a lag in terms of work coming out? What have you learned?
Look, so interestingly for me, we're working faster, we're working smarter, because now we don't have the luxury of a 3-hour meeting or a 2-hour meeting or a 1-hour meeting. We're getting to the point quicker, right? It focuses the mind. That's one of the things I've learned. It focused my mind, and it focuses our team's minds around what is the outcome we are looking for. So that's the first thing, I think. The power of relationships, Odette, you can't underestimate. So for myself personally, for example, you've got to phone your team members, check in on them. Are they okay, without talking about the operational and the work stuff? And that is very meaningful. It's built a lot of empathy in our leadership. We've gone into an empathetic leadership space. Wonderful. That has always been there. It's just been amplified now, So our authentic, empathetic leadership means that people feel cared for, feel seen, feel visible. And when that happens, they just become much more, it releases positive chemicals in their brains, and then they become a lot more productive. So it's important that we continue to do that. And then to be vulnerable as the leaders. We have to be vulnerable and show people it's not perfect. So if my daughter passes and I'm on a call, she's there going, "Hi, mommy." People see you as a whole human being, which they don't see in the office. And that's a beautiful thing. And it gets them to open up to you in a very different way. And you also have to be understanding of that as well.
Words of wisdom from someone who sits in the C-suite of an international organization with many, many brands and has navigated the complexities of such an enormous organization, but still manages to get people to understand that their products are an essential, even during COVID. Zumi, thank you very much for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Have a wonderful day further.